Welcome back, Focus Learners, to today's Explainer. We are diving into three massive breaking news stories spanning global geopolitics, modern mysteries, and true crime. Imagine for a second just finding a secret note hidden inside a book that could finally explain one of the darkest, most heavily scrutinized cases of the last decade. Well, that actually just happened. And as we'll see today, it's not the only massive piece of news breaking right now. We're looking at a world where hidden motives, newly unsealed court documents, and sudden diplomatic revelations are fundamentally changing the game.
Here's our roadmap for today. 1. Global shifts and unsealed secrets. 2. The U.S.-Iran peace plan. 3. Impact at the gas pump. 4. The unsealed Epstein note. 5. The Nancy Guthrie investigation. And finally, 6. Connecting the dots. All right, let's jump right into Section 1, Global Shifts and Unsealed Secrets.
Moving along to Section 2, the U.S.-Iran peace plan.
Okay, so starting over in the Middle East, President Trump says we're on the precipice of a deal with Iran that has suddenly hit pause on what really felt like an inevitable major conflict. Just yesterday, things felt like they were completely spiraling toward a devastating clash, but now we've got a 14-point plan sitting right on the table. Both sides are effectively getting 30 days to just talk things out and cool the tensions. And if you look at the core of this framework, the sheer scale of the compromise here is monumental. It's a massive trade-off. Iran agrees to stay away from nuclear weapons and totally stops enriching uranium for up to 15 years. Now, in the world of nuclear development, 15 years is literally an eternity and allows an entire generation of diplomatic infrastructure to be built. In exchange for that 15-year pause, the U.S. agrees to lift these heavy, crippling sanctions and release billions of dollars in frozen funds back to Iran that would immediately inject life into an economy that's been functionally isolated from the global market. Now, when we objectively compare these approaches, critics of this new framework are quick to point out that, hey, this actually looks remarkably like the old Obama deal. You know, the exact same deal that Trump originally walked away from. So the major question hovering over Washington right now is whether trust can actually be established this time around. Meanwhile, Trump's team emphasizes that their approach is entirely different because of one specific word: verification. They're arguing that they'll be acting like a magnifying glass on Iran's nuclear facilities. Verification means unannounced, highly intrusive inspections by international watchdogs, making absolutely sure that the enrichment pause isn't just a promise on a piece of paper, but a physical reality. They're making this strict, unyielding compliance the absolute cornerstone of this new era of diplomacy.
Which brings us to Section 3, impact at the gas pump.
So you might be wondering, why does a treaty happening half a world away actually matter to your wallet here at home? Well, it all comes down to this number: over $1. Experts are currently projecting that if this peace deal goes through, the highly contested Strait of Hormuz will finally stabilize. If you aren't familiar with it, the Strait of Hormuz is this massive yet extremely narrow waterway sitting right between the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman. Roughly 20 to 30% of the world's entire total oil consumption passes through that single, narrow choke point every single day. When tensions rise, shipping insurance skyrockets, oil flow slows down, and prices just surge. But if this deal opens it back up for the steady flow of global oil, we could realistically see gas prices drop by over $1. That is a massive shift in the everyday cost of living, proving that macro-level diplomacy really does eventually trickle down to your daily commute.
Shifting gears completely now, Section 4, the unsealed Epstein note.
While the threat of international conflict might be cooling down, a massive modern mystery just got a very significant new clue. A federal judge just unsealed a suicide note allegedly written by Jeffrey Epstein. This case is obviously incredibly dark, rooted in severe and far-reaching crimes, but the bizarre context of how this specific note was discovered adds an intense, almost thriller-like layer to the ongoing investigations. This note was actually found by his former cellmate, who, by the way, happens to be a convicted quadruple murderer. And the hiding place? Tucked away deep inside a novel in the cell. It's absolutely crucial to understand the timeline here. This was written after his first suicide attempt, well before his ultimate death, yet it was kept completely sealed away from the public and investigators for years, until right now. Thanks to relentless reporting that just kept pushing the court system, a judge finally ordered its release, and we now have these chilling words available to the public. It's a highly cryptic message. It reads, "They investigated me for months, found nothing, no fun, not worth it." Now, does reading this short quote solve the endless web of conspiracy theories surrounding the broader case? No, probably not. But it absolutely showcases the power of forced transparency. The legal precedent of unsealing documents is just so vital. Courts often keep things sealed for privacy or ongoing investigations, sure, but when the public interest outweighs that secrecy,
Unsealing documents forces historical truth into the light and compels us to re-examine the timelines we thought we already understood.
Next up, Section 5, the Nancy Guthrie investigation.
Let's turn our attention over to Arizona and the deeply unsettling disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. We're currently 90 days into this harrowing case. On day 1, Nancy vanished from her home without a single trace. By day 90, the situation had deteriorated significantly. The local approach had basically stalled out, prompting the FBI to officially step in, publicly citing that the initial investigation lacked necessary structure. And that brings us to the present day. Top criminal profilers have been brought in to review all the evidence totally from scratch. Now, criminal profilers don't just look at physical clues like fingerprints, they analyze behavioral evidence, victimology, and the precise methodology of the crime. After looking at the data, they all agree on one major conclusion. There is no way this was a solo operation. These profilers have officially introduced what they're calling the puppet master theory to the investigation. Basically, a puppet master is someone operating entirely in the shadows, orchestrating the crime by hiring or manipulating an underling to actually carry out the physical kidnapping. The psychology behind this is vital for investigators. Why? Because it suggests a layer of organized intent. It removes the emotional volatility that we usually see in localized crimes of passion. Instead, it points to a calculated, targeted hit orchestrated from afar. Uncovering this hidden dynamic, finding the person who actually pulled the strings rather than just the one who broke down the door, might just be the exact missing piece the FBI needs to break this case wide open and bring her home.
Finally, Section 6, connecting the dots. When you look at these 3 starkly different updates side by side, our core theme today really jumps out. Whether it's geopolitics shifting because of a 14-point plan and the promise of strict verification, a massive modern mystery evolving because a judge finally unsealed a hidden note found in a cellmate's novel, or a true crime investigation pivoting entirely because profilers identify the psychology of a puppet master, discovering the hidden pieces fundamentally changes the big picture. We really can't fully understand an event until the underlying data is brought up to the surface. So I want to leave you with this final thought today. Does the Epstein note change how you personally view the timeline of that investigation? And do you think this massive Iran deal is actually going to hold up to strict verification and lower our prices at the pump? I'd love to know what you think, so drop your thoughts below. I genuinely read every single one. Make sure to subscribe so you catch our next explainer. And remember, the surface level of a story is almost never the whole truth. Thanks for learning with me today.